Hello everybody, hi, I'm Peter Sidwell. I am here in the Simply Good Food TV kitchen and we are cooking at lunch today. I'm here with Laura from Nutri Brex.
Hi.
I am looking forward to cooking with these products today. So, tell me what we've got.
So these are 5 ways granola. So we've got honey and almond.
Yep.
And we've got coconut, quinoa and hazelnuts. So they're all gluten-free, they're made with gluten-free oats. It's a fine cut oat.
Right.
And it's made with very low sugar. So lots of granolas have huge amounts of sugar. There's up to kind of 20 or 30 grams. But these have got 2.6 grams of sugar per serve. So,
right.
So really kind of low sugar. Great if you're celiac or if you've got gluten intolerances.
Right.
And very versatile.
It's surprising actually, if you dig deep, some of the granolas, they actually have tons and tons of sugar in, don't they? And they are, you feel like you're having a really good breakfast, but actually you're just having that massive hit of sugar. But we're going to cook a couple of dishes. I've been playing around in the kitchens with these ingredients to try and create a couple of things that are a little bit different, kind of spark your imagination maybe to try and have it beyond just for breakfast. So I thought we would have a lunch. I'm going to try and replicate a chicken Kiev.
Delicious.
With some, and those crispy crunchy breadcrumbs are going to be with the granola and a little bit of parmesan as well. So you told me before you do a little bit of cooking.
I do a little bit of cooking.
Yeah? For a Londoner?
I do for a Londoner that eats out a lot. I do a bit of cooking, so I'm looking forward to trying something.
Okay, so I've got 2 free-range chicken breasts here. So the idea for me was to try and create something really healthy, but big flavours. Because I try to eat as healthy as I can, sort of 5 to 2. That's my theory. Monday to Friday, try and be disciplined. Saturday, Sunday, not so worried about it. Yeah. Well, not wild. I've got 2 kids. All right. I kind of 2 days of not too much worry.
Yeah.
But whether it works or not, you know.
Yeah.
I figure 5 is more than 2, isn't it? So it's probably not a bad way of doing it. So this is the kind of dish that I would kind of create during the week for our family, and we'll see what you think.
Yeah.
I think it's really easy to cook, to be honest. So
I've got exciting.
2 chicken breasts here, and all I'm going to do is score them about 1 centimetre in. And the reason why we're going to do that is it allows all the flavour in. Okay. So you just don't end up with just vertical layers of flavour.
Yeah.
You end up with it actually coming together.
Okay. We've had a couple of recipes. So the campaign that we're doing at the moment is the 5 ways challenge. So we're working with kind of individuals tagging hashtag 5 ways challenge. We've got lots of people sending in recipes at the moment, and we've had a couple of savoury recipes. But it's interesting to try it because I think breaded chicken is something that's so popular at the moment, and particularly with celiacs, it's not the easiest thing to make.
No, I think it's easy to do. Well, it seems easy to do kind of sweet things, doesn't it? It's all too obvious, I think.
Yeah.
So all I've done is a tiny little drizzle of olive oil on there, purely because we want to get some flavour in. So we're going to cook the chicken breast on this side. Tiny little bit of salt, more for the job of drawing moisture out than flavour.
Right.
Okay, because salt draws water out, so that when you pan fry something, if you're drawing the water out, you're going to get really lovely caramelisation. Nice. So here at the Cookery School, we always try to teach people these kind of techniques, and they can then take those techniques and transfer them to other things. Mm-hmm. So it's the principles really is what we try to do. So we're just going to pop that skin side down, hot pan, and leave it there, and don't touch it. That's kind of the secret.
Right.
Is people start fiddling and moving them about and doing this, that, and the other, and that's the mistake that can be made. You've just got to leave it.
Right.
The water will draw out any surface moisture, and then it will start to caramelise.
I think everyone will have that chefy moment of when they're kind of moving the pan around and flipping it around.
Yeah, that bit can come later.
Yeah.
But the idea
but
is
for now, just leave it.
Absolutely, and then we'll pop that tray on there. So, chicken Kiev, full of butter, full of garlic. It's delicious, isn't it?
Delicious.
But hey, we're trying to make something a little bit lighter, a little bit fresher. So all I've done is I've taken a bulb of garlic, I've wrapped it up in foil, no special way, just wrap it up, and bake it in the oven. And if you have a little smell of that. Ooh. So that's sat in the oven for an hour, okay? And all that's happened is the natural sugars have got hotter and hotter and hotter, and it's caramelised the cloves inside the garlic. Yeah. So the moisture can't escape, it just gets hotter and hotter, and you just end up with this incredible sweet, smooth garlic flavour.
Oh, delicious.
And that's going to kind of replace the butter and the garlic.
Okay.
Okay?
Great.
Right. So once we cut it off, you'll kind of see what's happened. That's when you really see.
Yeah.
And that's when you get that really incredible caramelised, sweet, sticky garlic. We actually probably buy 20 of these at a time.
Okay.
We do them all.
Yeah.
Keep them in the fridge. They just get better.
Okay.
Delicious. So we're just squeezing it out now. And just squeeze it like toothpaste. Really, really easy. Let's have a little look at this chicken.
It smells so sweet.
Yeah, it's an incredible flavour.
Yeah.
And it's the polar opposite of garlic, raw garlic really. It's not got that raw hit. So there we go. So we're now just going to make something really simple. Just a little bit of lemon juice, like 1/4 of a teaspoon. Because you don't want it really lemony. You just want balance.
Yeah.
And then a touch of olive oil.
Is that instead of butter?
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
So much better for you. Okay. Now, I don't know whether you've come across this Greek basil.
Oh no.
It's a lot more lighter and delicate than the traditional basil. We have it here all the time. I'm pretty much obsessed with it. I think it's delicious.
Do you have it in salads and things as well?
Yeah, everything.
Okay.
Everything. So that's going to go straight in. So could you just give that a quick mix around for me? Because that's going to be our garlic butter. We're going to put a little bit of black pepper in there, not a lot. So we'll take the chicken breast. So tell me about this 5 ways with, because that to me sounds, as a chef, that sounds really interesting.
So the concept of our kind of granola, we designed it so you can make it in different recipes.
Yeah.
And granola is usually, like I said, so sweet, that really dark brown, kind of crunchy cereal that you shouldn't be starting your day with.
Right.
So we've kind of created this healthy, low sugar granola that you can then use in porridge, you can use it in bircher, you can have overnight oats, you can use it in smoothies. So yeah, it's gluten free because there are so many people now that celiac disease is on the rise, and a lot of people are just intolerant.
Why do you think that is?
I think it's probably a lot of the ways we process food now, and I think we used to kind of back in the day, my grandparents things used to home cook everything.
Yeah.
And then we kind of with the generation of different breads and processed meats and processed food. And I think now is the time that we're all kind of slowly moving back to home cook. Home cook food, ingredients you don't want to see a kind of a million ingredients on the back of a
No, and I think for me, I know clean eating I think we get a little bit confused with clean eating. I always think clean eating just means like real ingredients that have either come out of the ground or, off a tree or whatever that may be. That to me feels clean because it's just real.
Yeah.
Whereas I think if you cook with raw ingredients, you're going to get better food for you. But I think you're right. I think probably the industrialisation and that, the 80s probably did it for us when everything was like Finder's crispy pancakes and all that sort of stuff. So, anyway, we've got this garlic now, sweet, sticky, and it's almost like a paste.
Smells amazing.
It is. Do you know what? Just fresh pasta in there or something like that. Done. Dinner's done. Don't have to do much. And that's the kind of cooking that I really like. Monday to Friday needs to be quick, simple, easy, fresh.
Yeah.
Because, you'll probably be working late down in London and you won't get home until, later. Yeah. I know what London's like. I don't get home till late. Brownie run, we've got swimming, we've got all this, that and the other, and before you know it, you don't get home in time. I think it's really important to choose the right recipe for the right amount of time that you've got.
Yeah. I think also when you can pre-prepare food, like we've got, we do a lot of like overnight oats and that kind of thing, so you can put it in the fridge. You can have, with the 5 ways, I usually use the honey, but you can have the granola, you can have some apple in there, some raisins, sometimes some courgettes, just mix it up a bit.
All real raw stuff, isn't it?
Yeah, and then just put it in the fridge and prepare it, which is great.
Right, so what I'd like you to do is divide this by 2. Okay. And the reason, you see how we've cut the chicken? Yeah. All that is going to seep into the chicken, which is what we want. So if you could make sure you get every last little bit and just divide it between the 2. It doesn't have to be covering it because we are then going to cover it in the oats. Yeah. And the granola to give it that lovely kind of crunch. Just get it on top, and then I will start to look at the topping. So we're going to work with the granola. We're going to go with the hazelnut, coconut, and quinoa one. It's not sweet, so actually as a savoury, what we can do is counterbalance it a little bit. So what I'm going to do is kind of take couple of handfuls and do it on the chopping board, because then we can actually see what's going on.
Yeah. It's so interesting using the oats in a savoury recipe. We've had a few people on the 5 Ways Challenge that have been using like Cajun chicken.
Yeah.
And it's something that I probably wouldn't have thought about.
Right.
But it's amazing seeing people being so creative with something, because essentially, like we said, you know, it's gluten free.
Yeah.
And so it's replicating something that you would have if you were to eat gluten, like breadcrumbs or something.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
it's just different flavours, and you get the nuttiness as well.
I think sometimes when you're going down the gluten-free route on cooking, actually it forces you to be quite creative, and as a consequence to that, you end up getting something that, you know, really beautiful and amazing in flavour. And, you know, I work as a development chef as well, so I have to develop products with and without gluten and, you know, to briefs and things. And sometimes it just forces you to approach things in a completely different manner.
Yeah,
I think baking without gluten forces you to try and replicate textures more than it does flavours.
Yeah.
And I find it fascinating, and I find it really challenging, because I've been a chef for years. And you don't always get challenged so much, but now I get challenged all the time on how can I take this out or that or the other, and it still tastes amazing, because it's got to taste good.
Yeah.
So what I've got the granola here with the coconut and the quinoa, and then I've got a handful of walnuts, incredibly good for you and nice and crunchy, so they go in as well. And then I've got some Parmesan cheese, which is going to kind of help bind it together a little bit, so we don't have to deep fry it. Okay. Which traditionally with a Kiev you would fry it.
Could you use anything apart from Parmesan?
You could. I mean, you could use. You're going to get a nice strong tang with Parmesan.
Yeah.
And it's not particularly, you know, there's not a lot of moisture in it, which is, you know, where you move to cheddars and softer cheeses, you get a lot more moisture. Whereas with this, you don't. You just get a tang, and it kind of is a bit like edible glue.
Okay.
You like? But don't, you know, you don't have to put much in. I mean, look, you can see probably 10 grams.
Yeah.
If that, and then we start to mix these together then, and that's what's going to kind of work and help us bind together.
I guess with the nuts you could also use the honey and almond as well. It might be a little bit sweeter.
It'll be a little bit sweeter, but it's not a sweet product. I mean, I tasted it. I tasted them both before we even started, and neither of them are sweet. As if you actually, your mind kind of thinks as a level of expectation of what sweet is, they're not.
Yeah, no, exactly.
And you can add, you know, that's why I quite like them really, because you can add things to it. If you need it sweeter, you can add a touch of honey, or, you know, we've come across coconut syrup now, and all kinds of really interesting products.
Well, just having it with some yogurt and fruit. We have lots of people making kind of breakfast bowls and smoothie bowls and just putting it on the top, and then just with some fresh strawberries or something. I think that's where you get the sweetness.
Brilliant. Right, so can you just, what I want you to do is just sprinkle so that you get a really nice coating, yeah?
Yeah.
And then what we're going to do is we're just going to take the vegetable fat spray and spray the top so that there's a little coating there.
Okay.
So we don't need to pan fry it, we don't need to, and that will really help it golden up and crisp up nicely.
This looks amazing.
You could do this with salmon if you wanted to as well, that would work really well. What I would do is probably do more lemon.
Right.
So it's really kind of tangy.
Yeah.
And you know, you can do it with other things as well, easily. You could probably even do this with some halloumi cheese, you know.
Oh yeah.
And you can kind of layer it up and replace it. Yeah, and then all we'll do is just pat it down. Just make sure that we've got a really nice coating. Because I mean, Kiev is coated in breadcrumbs.
Yeah.
You know, this is it's not a true Kiev. It's inspired by one, but it's not a true one. So all we need to do is just take the spray.
Yeah.
But you need to spray it from a little bit further back, so that you get a really nice fine mist. Otherwise, you get like jets of it.
Okay.
Yeah, that's it. So a few of those, and then that way you can kind of control the fat level content if that's important to you. Yeah.
Perfect.
If it's not, you could put a drizzle of olive oil in.
Yeah.
Then that can go into the oven.
Okay.
That's going to take about 15 minutes at 180 degrees. Okay. So it's not a long cook this at all. Okay. Let's just give this a quick wipe down. Then I want to show you how we're going to make a really beautiful salad to go with it.
Oh, lovely.
So something nice and fresh and light to go with something, you know, that's more intense. Okay, so we're going to use this because there's flavour in here. Don't want to lose that.
No.
Don't want to waste it.
That delicious garlic.
Yeah. So lemon juice. the remaining lemon straight in. So this is going to be our dressing. And we're going to pop some pears into here because they're in season at the moment. And I think they work really, really well with things like, walnuts, and we're going to use some peppery rocket leaf. It's just a really nice salad that works well. So, lemon juice, 1/3 lemon juice, 2/3 olive oil will make a basic dressing.
Okay.
As a general rule of thumb.
Dressing, I find dressings impossible.
They're all about taste, because what I like, you won't like.
Yeah.
Or you would make it slightly different to what I... That's why I always say a slight rule of thumb is 1/3 acid, so whether it's vinegar or lemon juice, lime juice, and then 2/3 oil, kind of gets you about where you want to be.
Right, okay.
You might want it slightly sharper, depending on what you're serving it with. You might want it slightly rounder, so a little bit more oil. But the best thing is to do jam jar, just shake it all up. But obviously I've got flavour in here, and I really don't want to lose that. Okay, so, got our pears, and we're just going to cut one side of the core and then the other, and then you just remove them really quickly.
I never think to put pear in salad. I
Would you not?
put a bit of apple.
Yeah?
Maybe apple, but I think you have to make quite a creative salad to have fruit in it. I always think of it as being like quite complicated salad.
Right, okay.
But it's probably not the case at all.
Well, we'll see.
Yeah.
See what you think. I'm very led by what's kind of coming into season, what's available, and I can see the pears are coming through. The thing with apple is, I love apples, but there are so many different ones, so many sharp, sweet, crunchy, soft, and I think it's a bit of a minefield. I mean, I serve salmon with fennel and apple quite a lot.
Okay.
So it works, but I always use a sharp one because salmon's oily, so you want a counterbalance. So something like a Pink Lady or a Granny Smith or something like that is like really crisp and crunchy. So that's a good cooking apple, as in not eating in a salad tub. Whereas I think the Cox apples and things like that and Braeburns, I always think Braeburns are a bit of a gamble really. Yeah. You never know whether you're going to get a good one until you eat it.
I think I actually saw in one of the recipes that came through for the 5 Ways Challenge was like a healthy apple crumble.
Nice.
Which was great. So you can use I think it was the honey and almonds. You can use that as a topping, and then there was coconut oil in there instead of lots of butter, and then apple, lots of cinnamon, and I think a few sultanas in there as well to just make it a bit sweeter. But trying to steer clear of too much dairy, too much sugar.
See, I quite now you've just said that, I'm thinking pear, cut in half, take the core out, and then score it. Yeah. And then put the granola on top, and then bake the whole thing so you have an apple crumble, but without the a pear crumble, but without the container. Yeah. Because the pear is the container. So that that might be something I'll try later. So I've got some walnuts, and I'm going to roast them to try and really bring out the nutty flavour. Because generally walnuts I find are a little bit bitter when they come out the packet. Yeah. So what we tend to do is just a little bit of oil, tiny amount. It's only enough just to make them sort of shiny. We tend to do all the nuts all at the same time. So we'll buy the packet, roast the whole packet at the same time. Okay, so make sure these pears get the coating of lemon juice and oil on there, then they will oxidise. Okay? Okay. So we'll put a tiny little bit of honey. And I mean, when I say a little bit, we're talking
nothing.
Maybe 1/4 of a teaspoon, that's it. It doesn't need to be much at all.
Yeah, just to get a bit of sweetness.
It kind of bridges the gap between the lemon juice and the oil. That's kind of what it does. And because you've got, one extreme to the other, this just sort of bridges that gap. Okay, so these walnuts are just going to roast. And then I've got some rocket leaf there, just sat in water, not doing anything at all. Okay, because I want it nice and fresh. It's good to keep it in water, keeps it nice and fresh. So I thought we would move on to, while this is cooking, move on to something sort of sweet. But I'm dying to know what's like the weirdest recipe that you got sent? Or what was the one that you absolutely weren't expecting?
I don't know if there were that many we weren't expecting. It's just more like seeing how people have been really creative with them. So tends to be kind of sweeter dishes because I think people are trying to make it with a crumble. There was a bread, so you can bake it and you can make kind of like a banana loaf with it. lots of, oh no, there was sushi, yeah, there was
Really?
banana like sushi pieces, so it was...
Like a sweet sushi?
Yeah, like a sweet sushi,
right,
so
nice.
it was no rice, so carb-free kind of banana, peanut butter, granola on top, kind of healthy bites.
Right.
And I think that it lends itself so well to kind of healthy snacking, so you've got the...
And I think that's the thing that everyone needs, is that healthier choice.
Yeah.
Because it's too easy when you're filling up with petrol in the car, garage or something. Mars bars are screaming at you, and it's kind of like, because they're right there, and they're terrible for putting them right there, aren't they? And it's like, when I'm travelling and stuff, I find it's hard. That's when the challenge is set, I think.
Yeah, for
and
sure.
I think things like, this is a good way to kind of address that.
Yeah.
Right, these walnuts are just started to toast a little bit. And what I really like to do with all nuts that we roast in the kitchen is we put a little bit of honey, again, tiny amount, because it doesn't need much, while they're warm.
Oh wow, just caramelise them.
And then that sticky honey then coats the walnut, and then we do 1 twist of salt. So now you've got sweet and salty.
Lovely.
Which is going to work beautifully. But you're better off doing a whole packet like that, and then cool them down and keep them.
Yeah.
And then you can use them for all sorts of things. Okay, so...
Chicken's already smelling great.
Yeah, that'll just sit there nicely now, no problem, while we get the other things done. So, I actually came up with 2 different types of ways of making a kind of granola type flapjack thing, because that's what I do that quite a lot.
Yeah.
And one is softer than the other, so I'll really quickly show you both, and then we can have a try of them. So, when I was talking about textures, like to make a flapjack, golden syrup, butter, all those things. So we're trying to replicate that kind of sticking, setting type texture, really. So what we're going to do is we're going to go with a banana. So full of goodness. And then I've got a handful of California prunes. So these are like the really, really delicious ones. Really, have a try. They're kind of like semi-dried. So they're almost, when you get a sun-dried tomato and a semi-dried tomato, the difference, that's kind of the difference. It's a proper fruit. It's not a dried, wrinkled up thing that you wouldn't know what it is. It's got sweetness and it'll help bind. So we've got an egg going in there, 1 banana, like 9 prunes, 1 egg. Got a little bit of ginger, and this, can be personal choice really. If you like cinnamon, nutmeg, whatever you prefer, that's what you go with. So a little bit of cinnamon in there as well. And then we're just going to blitz this up. And that's going to create that texture that we're trying to replicate. Okay?
Can you do it without the egg?
Don't know. Try.
Maybe more of a raw...
what the egg's doing is giving it a little bit of lift, and it's helping bind it together.
Okay.
I'd be interested to try it without and see what it can do. I found have you ever tried chickpea water, whisking it up to meringue?
No.
I tried it the other week and I was really sceptical.
So wait, so it's from chickpeas?
So you drain the chickpeas and then you can whip that water up that the chickpeas sit in the tin into a meringue, and it's amazing.
So it's a savoury meringue?
Well, you add sugar to it, it kind of helps stabilise it, but it just blew me away. I wasn't expecting it. Yeah. Right. So, really quick, you can see, 30 seconds.
Yeah.
And then for me, in with loads of seeds. So I've got lots of flax seeds, which also absorb moisture and kind of help things bind together. Incredibly good for you. I'm a little bit obsessed with seeds at the moment. I'm putting them in everything because I think they're just really, really good for you. And they're easy to get into things.
Yeah, and they're
breads
and
really good
filling.
for you. And then we're going to add in, so we're adding this one this time, so we're going with the honey, almond and seeds.
Yeah.
Okay, and we're just going to go straight in. 200 grams of granola, 100 grams of seeds, 1 banana, 1 egg, 9 prunes.
Great.
And then in.
So there's no sugar added at all?
No sugar at all, it's just all natural products, which I really like because I know what's gone in it now. There's nothing hidden.
Yeah.
And I know that, and actually, this one works quite well for kids because it's softer.
Right, okay.
And I think,
cakey.
yeah, it's somewhere, because of the egg, that's kind of softened it a little bit.
Right.
And it kind of puts it somewhere between the two. So a little squirt in each one there. And
these
then
could be a snack or breakfast. They're such a good like breakfast bite that you can just have on the go.
yeah, put them on your desk.
Yeah.
Put them in your car. Put them in your handbag. Really, really useful kind of thing to have. I have a little container in the car that's the same shape as the cup holder, and I chop all my little flapjacks up and put them in there.
Perfect.
And then I know they're there, and I like on my desk over there. I've got a Kilner jar with them in.
Yeah.
So my theory is, if I put them where I am, then I won't be tempted.
Yeah.
I keep trying. Okay, so straight in. And you know, I'm putting these in a silicone mould just because they're going to bake into that shape that I want.
Yeah.
You could cut them if you wanted to, but they just work really well like this. You could do them into smaller ones, but if you were doing even smaller sort of ring, you need to adjust your cook time. But really, once the egg has cooked and set, then you're good. And that will cook at 75 degrees. So really, in 15 minutes, these are done. So in 20 minutes, you've got them fresh baked. They don't take 5 minutes to make.
So easy to just make one batch for the week, so you can just have them to, like in the afternoon or in the morning.
Yeah. And just the fact that it's all done in one pot is brilliant.
Yeah.
You know, you could probably do that in one of those bullet things, or
Nutri Brex.
Yeah, you could probably fit them in there and do them, and you can kind of adjust it and make it. Now, I reckon you could swap a banana for an avocado in there if you wanted to, because it's going to replicate that same texture, and that's what I was talking about in terms of replicating texture more than flavour, because you can adjust flavour. You can add, spices and acidity and things like that. Once you've replicated the texture, that lovely granola bound with something is what you're trying to achieve.
Yeah.
So while that one cooks, let's do the other one. Okay, so I've got some prune puree here, and I'm using California prune puree here because it's got incredible nutritional value, and it's going to do, it's doing my job that I want it to do. So all you do is you just blend up the prunes until you get them to a puree. Really easy. And I just think, you'd be hard pushed to eat that many prunes, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Whereas if you put it all in something like this, all of a sudden, it's quite easy to achieve.
Yeah, and with the granola and the seeds, you've got so much fibre in there as well, so it's perfect.
Yeah.
You're not eating enough fibre, I think, at the moment at all.
No.
So when you start your day, you've got a good source of fibre through seeds and through oats, and you can add some extra fruits in. It's the best way to start your day.
No, definitely. I think, and it's easy. If you think about it, it's easy to achieve. Right, so I've got 60 grams of olive oil-based margarine there. So I'm not putting butter in. Be all too easy to put butter in. If you want to, go for it. But if you're trying to sort of make a few little changes, that's an easy one to make. Okay, so I've got an apple as well. So we're going to add an apple in, and this gives us moisture and it gives us flavour as well. Okay. So you were going to tell me about some more of the recipes that got sent in.
Yeah, we had the sushi was probably kind of the most interesting one. But yeah, we've had lots of breads, we've had crumbles, we've had lots of really interesting kind of smoothie bowls and had the granola as a topping.
Yeah.
We've had pancakes, we had some pancakes. We maybe even had some waffles. Yeah, we had some pancakes, so using them. We use our granola, and then we have another product that we've launched before the granola, which is made with sorghum, so it's called Nutri Brex, and they're Bix, so they're kind of breakfast Bix. You can crumble them up, and again,
that would be really useful as an ingredient.
Really good. So sorghum is a grain that's not really spoken about that much.
No, I've not heard of it.
Yeah, it's naturally gluten-free, so a bit like quinoa.
Right.
It's kind of not something where everything's been added to it or things have been removed. It's just a grain that works on its own, completely gluten-free. And so a lot of people bake with that and make pancakes or breads. So I think a lot of our...
I think it'd go into a bread really easily, wouldn't it?
Really easily.
I would imagine if you put it into a bread though, it's going to be, you'd probably have to adjust your water content.
Yeah.
If you were going to take a normal loaf of bread, which is 500 grams of flour and 7 grams of yeast and so on, if you then add some of that in, it's going to be really thirsty. So I think you'd probably have to add maybe 10% more water than you might normally,
Yeah.
so that it doesn't dry and tighten and become sort of crumbly. But and that's easy way to get all those lovely things in, isn't it?
So I think a lot of people have made recipes with our original product, and then from that, when the granolas came out, knowing that they were also gluten-free and they had the gluten-free oats, replicating the recipes they were working on before, and then kind of building the granola in, which is great. Nice.
So I've added the grated lemon in here into the prune puree, and then I'm going to add the lemon zest, because I kind of figured, you know what, it's just going to add a little bit of fragrance to something that's quite sort of intense and dark. And then in with the lemon juice as well. So squeeze it through my hand, catch the pips if we can. But again, just that massive hit of vitamin C now. And coming up to winter, like we are, rapidly. Although it's pretty sunny out here today, but it's coming, isn't it? It's come really quick, hasn't it?
It is. It's going to be mornings of dark mornings of porridges and crumbles in the evening.
I heard that porridge is like... I read an article the other day that porridge can help as much as statins to lower your cholesterol levels.
Really?
I don't know whether it's true or not, but I mean, oats obviously do help lower cholesterols and things like that. It's a pretty bold statement, but...
It is a bold statement.
I like the idea.
Like starting with like a wholesome meal, like a porridge, adding as much in means that you're starting, like with anything, it's about making breakfast healthier and starting the day the right way.
Yeah, no, definitely. Right. Chicken is almost cooked.
Smells amazing.
It's going to be good. Right, really quickly. So, all I've got is prune puree in here. We've got 200 grams of prune puree. We've got 60 grams of olive oil based margarine in there. We've got the lemon zest and juice. And then I've just got a ton of good stuff.
Wow.
Cranberries, sunflower seeds, pumpkin seeds, poppy seeds, because my daughter's called Poppy.
Nice.
So we have to put poppy in
everything.
everything.
Chia seeds for a second.
Yeah, well, chia seeds are great, but they do something. So they absorb moisture, so you have to be really careful if you're going to add just chia, because it'll just end up like that.
Yeah, okay.
So it's great. I mean, I've got a load of flax seeds in here, which do a very similar thing as well. And we've got some golden linseeds. I mean, they're easy to get hold of now, these things. But it's all just good, easy things. And again, you'd be hard pushed to eat all these if you didn't put them in something like this.
Sure. That's why so many people blend things into smoothies, I think, as well. It's just trying to make your life easier and get as much in as possible.
Yeah. Added value.
Yeah.
Added nutritional value, I think. So we're going to go in with 300 grams of the granola. And you'll kind of do it by eye eventually if you do this. You'll weigh it the first couple of times, but then you'll soon see, it kind of just...
when you can just look at it and be like 300 grams.
Oh, right. Well, it's 400 grams in a packet, so I'm figuring if I leave a quarter left, I've got a little bit more. But you can also, the more you make it, the more you can kind of tweak it the way you want it. You might like it really soft and chewy, or you might like it more, crisp. It's kind of one of those. I always think when you make all these recipes, it's kind of make them and then let somebody do what they want with it.
Yeah.
Give them the technique, give them the idea, and then off they go. And we do that at the cookery school all the time. It's introduce them to ingredient and a technique, and off you go.
Yeah.
And people love that because it's following recipes is just soul destroying because it's.
I think people are into cooking at the moment as well. Like the feedback we've got from this challenge is overwhelming, just because I think people love the idea of just getting back in the kitchen and making things and being creative. Yeah. And I think that we went through a phase of kind of not cooking as much and having lots of ready meals. Like, I definitely had ready meals when I was younger. Yeah. My mum would kill me for saying that, but we did. We definitely had them.
Let's not go there. Let's not go there with my mother. So this recipe will give you, I've got this tin from Lakeland, it's one of these loose bottom tins, and do you know what, it's perfect for this because you end up with 12 perfectly formed biscuit sort of chunks. You don't have to cut them, that recipe makes exactly 12. So it is a really handy little thing to have. If you want to put it in a great big tray and bake it, fine, but just cut it when it's warm. Okay. Don't cut it when it's red hot out of the oven, and don't cut it when it's cold. Kind of lukewarm, so you want to give it at least 30 minutes afterwards if you can, but I'm not very good at waiting.
I don't know if I can wait.
No, I'm not very good at that. So, all we've done is a tiny little bit of spray in these. But it's a very good non-stick pan, this one anyway, so they're not going to stick. But it's just that added little extra, and then all you do is just compress it in, and you just end up with the perfect shape. But what you also know is it's all going to cook evenly because it's the same size. And a lot of people forget that if you can probably get different sizes of these, or if you bake a whole one, it's going to take longer to cook because at the moment this is surrounded by metal. So as it gets hot in the oven, it gets cooked quicker.
Right. Okay.
So this will cook for me in 15 minutes. But if you're cooking it in a big brownie tray, for example, it's going to take longer.
Okay.
But that's just the nature of the recipe, really.
Looks great.
It's one of those that's just, I see this as just a great way to carry loads of really goodness in. It's an easy way to get healthy snacks.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any excuse now. There's so much out there, so many ideas. I mean, I was having a look on your website. There's some incredible recipes, great ideas. It's not just granola for breakfast. There's so much more you can do with it.
Yeah, I think with these it's so good because you can have them, you can prepare them and have them on the go, which is just the one thing that we're missing, I think, with breakfast. We actually just launched some muesli balls that we kind of do, which is gluten-free oats, and then we've got raspberry and almond and cacao and hazelnuts. And again, it's trying to, one, keep it gluten-free, and also just have something so it's easier that you can just have something on the go, because healthy food, particularly breakfast, is not that easy to get. You're kind of going to grab a croissant or, I mean, we all love a croissant, but we're trying to
They could be worse for some other things, can't they?
Yeah.
Right. So these are ready just to go straight into the oven. You can top these with more nuts and seeds if you wanted to. They're really, really simple and easy. And what I'm going to do is, if by magic lunch is ready, okay, so they can go straight into the oven. I'll lift the chicken out.
Breaded chicken.
Is this the kind of thing that you think you'll cook?
I definitely will, yeah.
Right.
I think that, breaded chicken is one of my guilty pleasures. It really is, but having a healthy alternative. Also, a Kiev is not something I grew up on Kievs.
Not these ones.
Not these ones, no. And then at uni, when you can get kind of the really cheap ones, I used to have so many of those. It was not good, but now I know you can be healthier.
I was the inventor of the chicken Kiev sandwich.
Ooh.
Don't do it anymore.
No.
So, we've got our pears, okay? And then roasted walnuts. So now they're really, really nutty, but just try a pear and a walnut together. That's where things like this come into their own, because you get the crunch and you get the sweetness. And for me, salads, I often find salads incredibly boring. And I take it upon as a personal challenge to make them quite exciting. Because I look at these girls with their boxes of salad and I just think, that just looks rubbish. But they can, it's not hard to make them amazing. So, the rocket now is just really crisp and crunchy because it's sat in cold water. So if you buy it from wherever you might buy it from, drop it into some cold water before you're going to use it, and it'll just crisp up really well.
How long do you have to leave it in the water?
Oh, it's only been in there half an hour while I've been cooking. And then never mix this salad until you're about to serve.
Okay.
Because the acidity in the bottom will make that wilt.
Right.
So never ever mix it. You can leave it like that for like another 20 minutes, but never turn it like this until you're ready to serve. Okay. And the general rule with most salads, the minute, because you've got acid in there, it will just start to wilt. But once you mix it, it just glistens then, and you're going to get that really lovely contrast. So you're going to get a peppery salad leaf. So it is really this simple, straight on like that.
Can't believe how simple it is, and also how easy it is to make.
Yeah, the simplest things are the best.
Yeah.
And it really is easy. And then with the salad, it's just combine some lovely ingredients that you like. If you don't like pear, find something else. Yeah. You can use plums this time of year. Nectarines work really well.
Nectarines would be great.
I've discovered nectarines and halloumi cheese this year.
Yum. Halloumi's good with everything.
Yeah. Okay, so let's just take the chicken. But you can see there, look, all crispy, all crunchy, all lovely. And then we're going to get this hit of garlic in the middle.
Delicious.
So we'll just cut it so that you can see.
This is what I need to do at home, it's the presentation. I think you can make it all, but then I would probably just put it all on a plate and and not make the effort.
Yeah,
Whereas
but
this
you know what?
looks so much better.
If it tastes nice though.
I know, but this
as long as it
looks good.
tastes good, that's all that matters. You know, I just can't help myself because that's just what we've been taught to do over the years. But I quite like simple present. I don't like fussy, pretentious food. I like it really simple. Okay, there we go. So you can have a try.
Oh, I will do.
And then I like a little bit of lemon juice on the top.
I think I'm going to have to do this just to look so professional. Just as I'm serving it, I'll make everyone stop and then get the lemon out.
Do you know what? The lemon juice makes all the difference.
It does.
Lemon juice is probably my most used ingredient because when I used to work in professional kitchens, it was always about just trying to get that little bit of balance at the end. I'll save that one for your colleague who sat behind the camera waiting patiently.
She's been looking at it, waiting to try it.
Thanks. We'll wait. It's quite quiet.
Delicious.
Do you like it? And the pear and the walnut with it?
Amazing.
Good.
It's so good. It's so crunchy on the outside of the chicken.
Do you know, that's because obviously the product, the granola, is already nice and crunchy. And the way that we've cooked it, by just that little mist of oil on there, has allowed it just crisp on the top. And then it protects that layer of sweet garlic and it just drops into the chicken. So it's kind of, although it's very, very simple, it's thought through.
Yeah.
And that, you know, you could easily change that to, you know, salmon, cod, you know, tuna, something like that.
It's just such an amazing crust on it and it doesn't taste sweet at all.
No.
It's just, and also the coconut is lovely.
It's just
it's
nice
really
and sort of light and crisp, which I think is what, you know, people want.
Yeah, and with the garlic, it's just really savoury. Delicious.
Good. Right. So should we try some dessert?
I can't wait.
Okay, right, let me move this.
I'll definitely be finishing that after.
Yeah. Okay, so I'll just wipe this. And what we'll do is we'll make sure these recipes are available and I'll get them straight over to you guys so that you've got them. They're really, if you need the recipe, I mean, it's so easy.
And it's worth looking up and everyone trying a new 5 ways challenge because I think that, I mean, we've seen 2 recipes today which are so delicious. Well, we'll find out this one is. It looks amazing.
Right, so at the moment, we've got both of these in the oven at the moment. So we've got, this is the sort of somewhere between a flapjack and a cake. So blended banana, California prunes, Nutri Brex granola, loads of seeds, boom, done, easy. There you go, so you can see it's a little bit lighter and more delicate. And then this one was done with the prune puree and lemon juice and apple, so we've got that added bit of moisture in there. But it's a bit darker, you can see it's kind of firmed up nicely. But I quite like it when you bake them in these shapes because they're easy then and you get crispy bits.
Yeah, and I feel like a cake and it feels like a little muffin.
Well, try it, see what you think. See what you think. It's good to try them both because you can find the one you like. You know, you might like the darker one, you might like the lighter one. Personally, this is my favourite because it's so easy. You know, 5 minutes, it's in the oven.
It's delicious.
I'm going to have a go. I'd quite like to add sort of walnuts and hazelnuts and things like that, so there's a big crunch in the middle. But you'd have to add them in at the end because if you put them in the food processor, they'd just go.
Oh, right, okay.
So stir them in at the end if you're going to do that.
Really good, and it's sweet, but you don't have, it's not overpowering, but I think it would hit the sweet spot, like something in the afternoon about 4 o'clock with a cup of tea.
Yeah.
Delicious.
That's kind of what you're craving, isn't it? That sweet hit.
Yeah. I
About
mean,
3 o'clock
or in
for
the
me.
morning. Like sometimes I think I prefer to have that instead of a bowl of cereal.
Right. Have we go?
It's also great.
So with the prunes and the lemon and the apple, you get more of a tang with it than you do with a lot of flapjacks. I think when you use dates, you get a lot of sweetness, whereas you get a little bit of fruitiness and tang, and it almost tastes like it's got brown sugar in it.
It does. It tastes like, I mean, it tastes like exactly how you'd imagine a flapjack, but it's just, it's actually a nicer taste.
Good. Good.
Yum.
Well, look, thank you very much for coming in and showing us your products, and I can't wait to see what you come up with or what your consumers come up with next.
Yeah.
We will make sure all the recipes are available to you if you want them, and have a go, have a play, get yourself down. Where can you buy the product from?
So you can buy the product in Asda and Morrison's,
right.
and you can order it on Ocado, or you can order it on the Nutri Brex website.
So you can get it direct.
So you can get it everywhere.
Better. Right.
And yeah, get creating recipes. It's all about trying the product in 5 ways. And we can't wait to see what everyone's kind of making.
Where would they send them in if they come up with a recipe out there?
So
where should they send them in?
on Instagram or Facebook, and then do hashtag 5 ways challenge.
Right.
And otherwise, you can just go on and look at other people's recipes and recreate them. I mean, there are so many exciting things to be doing at the moment, whether it be breads or flapjacks and chicken and savoury recipes. I want to see more savoury recipes. So that's definitely, for me, that would be an amazing way. I can have cereal for breakfast and then not have to buy anything else and make it for dinner.
Your bosses will be very happy if you have 3
perfect.
square meals a day.
It'll save me so much money, so it's great.
Brilliant. All right, well, thank you very much for watching. Hope you've enjoyed the recipes. Please do let us know what you think of them, and we will get them sent out for you. Okay.